It's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back to the channel. I'm here with a review of a movie / DVD. This is a non-Hong Kong release, so I apologize. But I think that people who like Hong Kong cinema, who like this channel, knowing what kind of stuff the audience likes, I think you'll really, really dig this movie. If you have not seen it, I know that some of you have seen this movie because I've talked to you about it. So the film is Born to Fight. This is a Thai movie. Now, if you don't know, I absolutely love Tony Jaa. After Jackie Chan, with maybe the exception of Sammo Hung, Tony Jaa is like my favorite screen martial artist. The Protector is one of my all-time favorite martial arts films, favorite action films, the Tony Jaa one. Ong Bak is just incredible. Killzone 2 is actually my favorite movie in the Killzone series, in part because Tony Jaa is in there. I love Tony Jaa's presence. I love what he does as a martial artist. I love the movies. And so he's not in this movie, I should tell you. I'm talking a lot about Tony Jaa. This was directed by the person who did the stunts and action choreography for Ong Bak, and also, I believe, the Protector. And the name is Pana Ritigrai. I don't speak any Thai, obviously. I apologize if I'm really butchering the pronunciation of that. And then this guy here is one of his go-to stunt performers, and he plays the lead in this movie. And so, to give you a very brief overview, this is the Dragon Dynasty release, as you can see. To give you a very brief overview of what this film is about. So it came out in 2004, and you have a cop who, in the opening sequence, he and his boss, they're undercover. And they're trying to bust this general who is like running drugs and stuff like that. And they end up busting him. But then he is like in cahoots with what appears to be some kind of communist rebel army. And so there's this small village in the mountains of Thailand. And the Thai national sports teams, like a member of the soccer team, a member of the rugby team, like the taekwondo national champion, they all go out to do charity work at this remote village, and they're handing out blankets and food and toys to the kids and stuff like that. And the cop who busts this general in the beginning, his sister is the Thai national female taekwondo champion, I believe. And so she's going to go, and he's like, I want to go with you, like because he's her guardian, I think, like legal guardian. I'm going to go with you to protect you and stuff like that. And she's like, no, you don't need to come. I'm a taekwondo champion. He's like, just let me come with you. While they're at this village, this rebel communist army, they're wearing red, I don't know if they're actually communists, takes over the village, and they demand that the general who was busted in the beginning be let free, or they're going to nuke Bangkok. They have a nuclear weapon, right? So, and then, of course, you have all these insane stunts and actions, almost like a Die Hard type thing where, like, here's this cop and they don't know he's there and he's hiding in the village and stuff like that. But then also, you have all these athletes, right? So you have a taekwondo champion, a rugby player who's just, like, throwing people through walls. And, like, so this movie is kind of segmented. I'm going to talk about how there's kind of three things going on here. The first thing is something that I very much do not get, which is that there's obviously a lot of Thai nationalism going on here. And I don't say that in, like, I don't know if this movie is, I'm not going to call it jingoistic, because I think it's more just like a point of national pride, right? But you have, like, obviously you have the Thai national sports teams involved. So right away there's like this kind of theme of like, these are the great heroes of our country, right? These people, like these sports champions or whatever, right? And then you have village life, and we show like rural village life and the kind of the meeting of minds between these more urban, more sophisticated, more modern Thai people, and like kind of an older, more traditional way of life, and the way that they interact with one another and help one another and stuff like that. And there's a scene where all the people who have been taken prisoner by this rebel army, they all sing the Thai national anthem that gives them this great sense of pride. And there's like shots of like old black and white photos of people wearing uniforms, like I'm assuming are like either former presidents of Thailand or generals of Thailand or national heroes of Thailand. Again, I don't really know anything about this, but you can see that throughout this movie, it is a point of national pride of like, we're Thai people and we fight for what we believe in, and we have strong morals. And, you know, Thailand, I believe, is a Buddhist country, and there's something that really reminds me of the Harp of Burma. You know, Burma, I believe, was Thailand. It became Thailand. It was called Burma. Harp of Burma being the Konichikawa, the Japanese film, where the Japanese soldier goes AWOL and becomes like a Buddhist monk, right? You have this kid in this movie who's wearing like the orange Buddhist robes and is doing the Buddhist prayers. And there's a lot of Buddhist prayers for like peace throughout the movie and stuff like that, and love, and like, and if you've seen Tony Jaa films, you know that there's like a very strong kind of Buddhist undercurrent throughout those films of like positivity and gentleness and harmony and things like that, right? And so that all of that is going on throughout this film. And again, like I said, I don't really understand all of it, but so you know it's there. So the movie, for a lot of its playing time, really reminds me of like an 80s or 90s kind of B hard-hitting action film. It reminds me of canon film stuff. Movies like Avenging Force, where there's like they're about serious subjects and they're about kind of moral subjects, but they're very violent movies that have no like. There's some kind of upsetting stuff in this movie. Like there's once they capture everyone in the village, they're like shooting people. They're shooting old people. They threaten to shoot children. I think maybe some kids do get shot. I definitely kind of like skipped a couple of like the more like the bad guy is really malicious type of scenes. I know some people like these types of movies. Some people don't. It's really kind of a point of personal taste and what you're willing to watch and stuff like that, I feel like. But it really is like a hard-boiled, hard-hitting, not pulling any punches, like 80s, 90s style action film for like the first hour or so. Heavy influence from John Woo, though, I should point out. So if you're a fan of like hard-boiled and stuff, like I'm gonna talk about the stunts in a minute here, but there is like that kind of gun fu John Woo kind of shootout craziness element to it. Obviously, also heavy influence from Jackie Chan, because there's actually a scene that more or less recreates the shantytown destruction in Police Town when they drive, or Police Story, where they drive all the cars down through the shantytown. That same kind of thing happens in this, where there's this little village of these shacks and this huge truck kind of crashes through them. So the stunts, that's the other element of this film. The last half hour is basically just this gigantic, insane stunt sequence, and the opening has crazy stunts. And when I say crazy stunts, people are doing gun fu on top of moving tractor trailers. And I'm not kidding you. Like, they're leaping sideways, shooting guns on top of moving trucks. People get kicked off of trucks onto other trucks and then roll off onto the ground. 3 of the most insane motorcycle stunts I have ever seen in my life happen in this movie. One of them is a motorcycle goes crashing full speed into like a pickup truck. There's another one where a motorcycle goes crashing into a flaming house. It's like the remains of like this wooden shack. It just goes like, and the guy goes like, he goes flying. He's like launched. And then there's another one where a guy drives a motorcycle directly into a speeding truck and then jumps off the motorcycle over the truck. Like, it is insane. And these are like no wires. Like, there are pads, but not a lot of them, because you can see the behind the scenes stuff. These are just like insane stuff, like the kind of stuff that you would see in a Tony Jaa movie, but instead of just fighting, they're like, let's take it to the most insane level we could possibly take it to. Like, people throwing people off of things into other objects. There's a scene where 3 people are fighting. Okay, so let me set this up for you. There's a fight, and the guy does like a throw or a kick or something, and, you know, instead of just the guy just landing hard, hurting himself and getting back up, he lands on a fire. And so he gets up partially on fire, and then they all start pulling logs off of the fire and beating each other with these logs that are on fire. And it's visually really cool because you have the sparks that are coming on. I think some of the sparks are CG, but you have sparks like flying off, right? While you have people beating the crap out of each other with these logs. Now, I did mention that we have the martial artists, right? You have a scene where the Taekwondo character champion is fighting with someone. The soccer player is like kicking, like he kicks a tea kettle into someone's head, and like the rugby guy is like crashing people through walls, throwing them. There's a scene where a gymnast is fighting someone, and she gets up on like a wooden beam and does like a balance beam routine, but like while kicking people in the face. Like, it is bananas. The stunts in this movie are insane. So if you are a fan of like that Jackie Chan style of just like bananas stunts and fight scenes, or like Tony Jaa and like other, you know, like The Raid, just like these totally insane combo stunt fight scenes, you gotta see this movie. If you like 80s like canon films, PM Entertainment style, like hardcore 80s, 90s action films, you gotta see this. And then if you like gun fu, John Woo type movies, this also has that John Woo thing where it's very sentimental at the same time as being extremely violent. That to me is like a hallmark of John Woo. You have that in this too. So the movie is Born to Fight. And I will also, like I said, I was going to review the DVD. I've dropped it, of course. There's a making of on here that's really fantastic. It's 60 minutes long, and there's tons of behind the scenes footage and interviews and stuff like that. And you can see how they did all the stunts, how little kind of padding they were wearing, like people breaking their limbs, like a guy breaks his leg, and how they did there's this huge explosion at the end. That's one of the most insane explosions I've ever seen in a movie, where they basically blow up like an entire village. And then there's a little making of that's called Action on the Set of Born to Fight. So I got this. Someone was asking me on YouTube, or not YouTube, Instagram. I posted a clip of this movie recently. Someone said, where do I find this movie? I need to see it immediately. I got this for less than $10. It may have been like $9.99. It may have been $5. I honestly don't remember. But it was only a couple years ago. It was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago I got this. And I just rewatched it recently, which made me think to review it for the channel. But it's a very good set, and it's definitely worth getting. It has US promotional trailer, theatrical trailer. If you can't find it for cheap, I would check eBay, I would check Amazon, I would check Mercari, like all those second market type places. You should be able to find it for relatively little. So my name is Will. The film is called Born to Fight. It is from Thailand, released in 2000. I think that came out in 2007, that release, but I think the film is from 2004. My name is Will, like I said. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.